The chirping must be from around the corner. Perhaps I raise myself out of bed, although too fast perhaps, as I stumble my way toward the window. Peering out both sides, I look for any signs of my familiar friends. The source of the song, yet none are to be seen. Odd. No time for such matters, though. I shake myself awake, getting dressed and preparing for the voyage to come. Picking up my pouch, I realize it is still lightweight. I pray that Remas won't make an issue out of it, lest we worry about such frivolous things for what's to come. Fashionably late, as always, Remas remarks as I step onto the dock, though it's quite different to hear him over the roar of waves crashing to the great hive's roots. Ka'al shakes his head, patting Remas on the back. Relax, the ship is here, and all three of us are here too. That's all that matters. Ka'al calmly says, trying to make Remas control himself. I suppose Remas looks over to him than to me, and sighs. Fine, let's just get going already, alright? He mutters as he walks onto the ship. Ka'al shrugs, looking at me with a puzzled expression. I don't particularly understand what his issue is. He's a different person when you're not around, he says, looking off at the sea. I brush it off. It's fine, Ka'al. Really, and how have you been? It's been weeks since I could last meet with you. I smile, looking towards him. But his gaze doesn't shift from the sea. He's always seemed troubled, keeping to himself, but today seems particularly different. Page 8. A few moments pass in which he doesn't say a word, then moves to board the ship with Remas silently. You make it really hard to get to know you better. You know what? I mumble to myself as I follow Ka'al aboard the ship quietly. Hours have passed on the sea now, and our party has sat in silence within our chambers. I cannot help but wonder what is troubling these two so much. Have I missed some sort of argument? Did I say something wrong? What's with the quiet, you two? It's not like the both of you to stay silent for hours on end. I finally break the silence in the room, watching them both jump in their seats from the startle of the noise. Has the reality of this not set in on you yet, Akuza? Ka'al asks sternly, looking toward me with a fierce look. His hands rest on the wooden desk, tapping it in frustration. Well, trying new things is our job, isn't it? To be one of Zymak's scholars is to discover the unknown. I hastily reply, somewhat unnerved by Ka'al's frustration. He must have noticed my anxiety in my voice, and he relaxed his tone. Look, LifeWave may be the future for our technology, but this unnerves me, Akuza. It makes me scared. It doesn't feel right. I look down at his hand resting on the table, watching him grip it nervously. I glance over to Ramaz, who is idly looking out the seaside window of our chamber. Then I gaze back to Ka'al. I speak calmly, responding to him in a manner that suggests no offense. Look, I know. I understand. I really do. I know people within our great hive are calling it necromancy and other foul things, but I trust Zymak's judgment, even more so, because it's Cyrrin. I get why they're connected about us, but even so, we shouldn't be so low-spirited due to what our peers have said about our duty. By the time we finish our task, reanimation successful or not, we shall come home and all will return to normal. Think of it as any other of our previous duties. We're going to be fine. Silence returns to the room following my attempt at cheering them up. A moment passes and Remas looks over to me. It's not every day I get to hear someone claim using necromancy to revive a hero is any other duty. What's next? Are you going to tell me that Riedra is waiting home for you too? He lets out a sly laugh, and I have to resist the urge to slam the table. I slam the table. Gods below. You're something else. As I shout as I get up from my seat and hastily rush out of the chamber, slamming the door behind me. I can't stand him. These people, the way Ka'al does nothing. I run back to the deck of my ship, leaning on the railing as I catch my breath. I turn around, cross my arms, and look off to the eternal blue surrounding us. I can't just... I sigh. I peer off at the waves, somewhat misty-eyed. I rummage through my pouch and find Riedra's mask shard. I hold it high and feel myself shaking, staring up at it. I know you're still here. I stammer through tears, looking at the piece of the mask. I can't believe Remas would just... He knows they were important to me, that they are still important to me. I clutch the piece of the mask and fall to my knees on the deck of the ship, looking down. Oh shit. This one? Default. Alright. I clutch the piece of mask and fall to my knees onto the deck of the ship. Looking down, I hear a door faintly open in the distance, then close softly. Quiet steps approach towards me, and I haven't the energy to look up. What is it? I cry, out unsure of the person behind me. Page 12. A moment passes, and I've been given the response of the great silence. I turn behind me quickly, expecting Remaz mocking me once more, only to see nobody at all. This way, this time, a voice on my right side speaks softly, sitting beside me, considerably more calm than before. Remaz. I don't want to talk to you right now. I attempt to say flatly through my voice, though my voice is still shaky. He sighs, placing a hand on my shoulder. I know, I'm sorry. That was too far. He mumbles quietly. It's clear he feels guilty about it. I didn't mean for that to come out, or to even think like that. Just sometimes I get caught up in that mask, you know? The image.
Question.
Yo.
How far are you in?
Page 13.
Okay, that's good enough. Keep going.
Sometimes I get caught up in that mask, you know? The image of the quippy Vesperian making light out of everything. But that was too much. I'm sorry, Yakuza. He finishes his apology and awaits my response quietly, looking off to the sea just as I am. I know he doesn't mean to act out like this, but it still hurts. I don't want to hurt him either. That was page 13. I wait for a moment and take a deep breath, exhaling. I forgive you, Remaz. He takes his hand off my shoulder, and we sit together quietly. Waves bellow into the side of the ship as we sit together with no word spoken. The moon's eye rises above the horizon as the sky slowly grows dark. I'm going to head to bed, I stammer out. Holding on to the railing of the ship's deck, I stumble upon my feet. Remaz looks over and nods solemnly, then quietly replies, I'll be sitting here for a while longer. Rest well, Yakuza. Tomorrow will be difficult, and thank you for forgiving me. He looks off to the waves once more. I can't help but feel a little bad for him. While I'm forgiving him, I do not think he has forgiven himself yet. I nod to him and return to our chambers. Ka'al is already asleep within his own bed, and I lay down upon mine, staring up at the ceiling for a few moments. I hold Ridra's mask shard up one last time, contemplating it, then putting it back into my pouch. Page 14. A great deal of time passes until we arrive at the first. I guess that's a place. As the day is finally upon us, my party and I are anxious, but ready to get this over with. Allow me to lead, please. I've been around here before, and some masks here know me already. Call speaks as we're led up to the deck of the ship, observing the massive great hive ahead of us. As the ship draws closer to the docks, Remaz looks over to Ka'al and asks, and you're sure they won't require some sort of identification or something? I doubt they'll believe us if he claims Zymax sent us without any proof. Ka'al smiles and shakes his head, peering off to the dock in front of our ship. They know we're coming. Believe me. Elegant branches stretch across the sky above us as the great hive looms overhead. They said the first was grandiose, but I never could have imagined. I chattered to Ka'al as he leads us towards the plaza. The volume of birds chattering here. Compared to our home, Great Hive is one of the first things I notice as we walk closer within. The other hive can travelers pass in and out. Grandiose is an understatement, Yakuza. You're lucky to have me guiding you two, or else this would be a much longer trip than planned. Ka'al laughs as we move closer to the plaza. As we draw nearer towards it, a tall Ganymede guard walks towards our group to stop us, peering down at us. Hey, we saw your ship. The dock's only open to select groups at the moment. The dock's only open to select groups at the moment. What's your purpose here? The guard bellows sternly, his bright eyes staring into Remaz's mask particular. You look. No, you're not him. The guard begins to say, then shakes his head, turning to Ka'al. Page 16. I don't understand why these guards always try to talk to Remaz or Ka'al before me. Ka'al begins to speak before I interrupt him. We're Lifeweave scholars sent by Hive Lord Zymak, Diria II. We're here for Cyrrin. If you'd please guide us. The Ganymede's bright eyes blink twice, evidently puzzled by the statement for a moment, before the realization hits him. Ah, you're that group. His expression shifts to something much more grim as he looks off to the side, possibly looking for someone else to deal with this. I didn't expect a warm welcome for what we're here to do, so I'm not too surprised. Page 17. A group of guards leads us up to Cyrrin's memorial, and the room falls silent. It seems we're expected. The statue of Cyrrin is massive, towering over all of us. I stare up at the statue, looking deeply into his mask. It feels eerily familiar, but I can't put my finger on why. Remaz strides forward, then faces toward me, taking a dramatic pose as he begins to speak. Surely you've heard of the tale of Cyrrin, the star-set blade. One of the guards chuckles, while another looks annoyed. No, my good friend, I have not. I hastily respond, laughing as I play along. Ka'al buries his head into his hands out of embarrassment. The stories are true. You see, Cyrrin, the bravest of the ancient Hive Lord warriors, rose above all the others when Hive was in most dire of circumstances. Indeed, he drew his blade against the blasphemous Etrian invaders, who sought to steal our Lifeweave artifacts ages ago. Oh, how he defended the Hive and its glory. Gods below rest his soul. Remaz finishes his speech. I cannot help but laugh along with him. Thank you for the history lesson, dear historian. I collect myself and look over to the guards standing around us. Some remaining stoic. Then my I cannot help but laugh along with him. I skip something. Oh, how he defended the Hive with his glory. God rest his soul. Remaz finishes speech, and I cannot help but laugh along with him. Remaining stoic, then my gaze drifts over to an interesting metal structure nearby. That shape is odd. And the size of this structure? What is this? What is this over here? I've never seen anything like this. I approach the immensely large metal door. It's cold to the touch, too cold to the touch, and I sense nothing. That was page 19. Halfway. This is what we call the lifeless chamber. One of the taller guards responds, walking closer to me. Gods below, why is everyone tall here? This used to serve as a prison for rogue lifeweavers in a time long past, though we needn't use such constructs anymore. He continues, and I stare at the door. Could you elaborate? May I look inside? I look around for a handle of some sort to open the door, asking as I peer around. The guard looks over to me slightly puzzled. By all means, it's constructed entirely of iron, devoid of any material a lifeweaver could manipulate. Although, if an iron singer was in there, it would not be secure at all. But I digress. No sort of lifeweave can be used there whatsoever. The guard continues to explain as I look up, observing a conspicuous button near the door. Now, is this? I mumble to myself, reaching up to attempt pressing it. Although I cannot reach it. Lovely. Page 20. Take my meds. Need some help? Remaz approaches the guard, and I, eyeing the button as I was struggling to reach. He scoffs, hitting the button with ease. A loud click echoes throughout the hall as the large iron door slowly lowers, revealing an impressively large, empty interior constructed purely of iron. Wow. I step into the room, with each step making a loud noise ring throughout the chamber. It's cold, and I begin to understand what the guard meant by it being devoid of life. It feels so empty compared to the life of Great Hive. I mumble to myself, walking deeper into the large egg-shaped room. And dark. Call shouts over by the door, looking into the chamber with Ramaz. If you're done now, I'd like to get our job here over with. Ramaz calls out to me and I rush back to the door. What the hell is wrong with you? I gasp and rush back to the door. That was page 21. Gods below. Apologies. I get caught up in new things quite easily. I followed him and call out. Let's worry about... Oh, back toward the group of guards. It's fine, Akuza. Honestly, let's worry about the hard part. It's time. The guards of the first guide us to Cyrrin's chamber of rest. A large metal coffin resides within the middle of the room, surrounded by a countless array of beautiful flowers. Oh my, Kaal walks forward.
Thank you, Mac. Go on.
Gods below, apologies. I get caught up in new things quite easily. I read that. And the guards of the first guide us to Cyrrin's chamber of the rest. A large metal coffin resides within the middle. I read that. Oh my, Kaal walks forward, crouching down and touching the flowers of the chamber. Such a melancholic place for such beautiful flowers. Tragic. He picks one up, then glances at a guard to ensure it wasn't seen as disrespectful. Fairest of the blossoms, and everlasting past, its stem being pulled. He respectfully tucks the flower onto his belt and nods towards Cyrrin's coffin. Thank you, Starset Blade. Kaal solemnly speaks to the coffin. He's always been a sentimental one, taking little trinkets and knick-knacks of his travels with him to remember them by. That was page 22. I imagine this must feel special to him, knowing the significance of this memorial. Ramaz is standing in the corner of the room with his arms crossed, remaining silent. I presume he can sense the importance of this place too. These flowers have such a commanding presence amidst the life within this hall. The guards begin to file out of the room except for one. He looks over to us and speaks. We'll be guarding the door outside. When you've finished your experiment, we'll unseal the memorial ground. He begins to exit the room before pausing for a moment. I personally believe this to be a grave sin against Cyrrin's legacy, and the hive as a whole. May the gods below judge you for what is to come. Then he exits the memorial ground, and the door slams shut behind him. Well then, I look toward Kaal and Ramaz. Are you two ready? I'm nervous myself, but I don't want to show it. I want them to feel brave, and I want us to succeed. We can make history. Ready to head back home? Yeah. Ramaz gets off the wall, and approaches towards me. Then looking toward the top of this large coffin, Kaal helps me lift this. Don't worry about her, she'll... Before he can finish, I've raced over to help lift the top of the coffin. Shh. All together, please. I say, looking towards both of them. Kaal holds the east, Ramaz holds the west, and I begin to lift the south edge. On my count. 1, 2, 3. We all put our strength into lifting the top of the coffin, eventually managing to lift it up. Oh, gods, this is heavy. Ah, Ramaz exclaims as he begins to struggle, and we start to move the top to the side. Just here. Here. Let it go here. Kaal calls over to us, and we begin to lower it on the ground. I can barely feel my arms. I sigh as we finish that process, sitting down upon the grove of the white memorial blossoms. One moment, please. Ramaz sits too, and Kaal simply looks down at the two of us. Take your time, resting, please. I don't want you two winded for the hard part. Kaal speaks to us, looking at Cyrrin's now exposed corpse. They buried him with his signature blade. How poetic. Kaal chuckles to himself. I'd be the same as him, though. I can't help but smile listening to him ruminate on such things. There's clearly a strong passion behind that sentimentality of his. He shakes his head, brushing the dirt off himself. That was page 25. I'm just about ready. I get up and look towards Ramaz. And you? He looks up at me, tilting his head. I was ready the whole time, just waiting for you. He chuckles as he gets up onto his feet. Although, I know that's a lie. Have you two resided in the Matra before? Or would this be your first? All calls out to us, standing over the corpse. I can't help but note how well kept the body is. Usually corpses face worse fates, to say the least. I memorized it quite a while ago. I reply, looking up to Kaal as Ramaz and I begin to slowly approach the body. Ramaz doesn't respond to Kaal, but seems he already has a deep focus on the body. He's usually quite carefree in such situations. Is something the matter? I ask Ramaz, and he snaps out of his trance. Nothing, Yakuza. Just idle anxieties is all. He speaks quietly, looking over from the corpses to me. Anxieties? It's going to be fine, Ramaz. You'll be fine. I try to treasure him, but part of me feels quite nervous too. That was page 26. We stretch our hands above the body of Cyrrin and focus intently. I can sense great life flowing within this room. For myself, my companions, the countless white flowers surrounding the coffin. Closing my eyes, I find the vacancy, an empty pocket of life, a soulless body. When a body soul is trapped within the depths, traces of the soul can be felt in its rightful body, even whilst the soul attempts to escape the depths. However, this vessel is completely empty, its soul lost to the confines of the deep, forever, it seems. Then, should our task succeed, what would control his body? I shouldn't waste so much time. I need to focus. I focus on the vacancy, and then the flowers around me. To life weave is not the act of generating new life. It is the transfer of life. This is the secret we hive can live by, and it's the truth of our miracle. I find the life within the memorial flowers, observing how they act and bend. It shall suffice. With this quantity, I began to channel their life into vacancy, and then opened my eyes. The flowers closest to the coffin wilt within seconds, turning to a dark black. A growing black circle begins to grow around the coffin as each flower dies to the transfer, and I pressure the flower's life into the place of the soul further. I can feel my head pounding from the stress, as sweat begins to trickle down my forehead. Gods below, I mutter to myself, as I redirect the life of hundreds of flowers into the place of Cyrrin's soul. That was page 28. Give me a second. Ramaz and Kaal are completely silent, focusing their entire beings into this task as well. A large green pulse emanates over Cyrrin's body, a physical sign of our life-weave manifestation working so far. The once beautiful white flowers below us are now a sea of wilted, rotted leaves. And just as I fear we'll have to draw from our own life, the sense of vacancy vanishes. I lose my focus as soon as I notice it, looking around the room, then to Ramaz and Kaal. Did you two feel it too? Then I ask them exhaustedly, attempting to catch my breath in between words. Ramaz simply nods as he draws in breath, while Kaal sighs. I did, but I can't help but worry if that wasn't enough. He glances at the flower on his hip, still gleaming white, and shakes his head dismissively. Ramaz finishes, catching his breath, looking over to Cyrrin's body. Do we just wait? He asks in somewhat a puzzled manner, supposedly expecting an immediate result. Not wait, per se, just keep an eye on it. Look for any sign of breathing, anything like that. I call out to him as I stare intently at Cyrrin's vessel. I can almost feel something swelling within it, but it's so difficult to describe what. The vacancy is completely erased, I know for certain. All of us grow quiet, as I believe the others noticed it as well. We stare at the body for a few moments, and then a twitch. Cyrrin twitches. Did we succeed? Gaul draws in a shocked breath, placing his hand over his mask. Well, Ramaz doesn't move an inch. I can't help but stand motionless as well. Are we necromancers? Is this heresy? No, surely they wouldn't claim such things. Zymak himself ordered this task, but my anxieties only grow worse by the moment. Cyrrin, are you awake? I find myself asking subconsciously. Watching the body begin to shift and stir, my heart begins to pound, watching him slowly raise to life. Where I once felt that vacancy is now something else. But it doesn't feel right. There's no soul. What compels him to move, to live, without that guiding part of us of all? Gaul, do you feel it too? I ask nervously to him, but I can't take my eyes from Cyrrin's form raising to life. I do, Akuza. Are you afraid as well? He asks me, but at this point, my heart is beating too hard to answer. Something feels terribly wrong. There is no soul. This shouldn't be possible. With one sudden movement, Cyrrin sits up within his coffin, his gray, moss-sown mask staring at us. But through the large crack in his visage, I can see his eyes, vacant. Ka'al approaches him, putting his arm out in front of Ramaz and I. Allow me, this time, please. You cut me off so rudely the last time I wished to speak. Ka'al mumbles toward me, and I haven't the heart to protest. Greetings, Starset Blade. You've laid dormant for so many years, and the rest of the hive is happy to have you with us. Again, my name is Ka'al. I'm one of the life weavers of the second. How do you feel, Cyrrin? He asks the hero calmly, evidently trying to ensure the large being stays calm. Cyrrin begins to shuffle around more, armor still intact, as he stands. He then steps out of his coffin, his blade at his side, towering over all of us. I have never seen a Vesperian of legend, yet where should I feel the admiration? I feel fear at his stature. The hero responds to Cyrrin's question without a resounding silence, staring down at him. Cyrrin twitches unnaturally, beginning to contort into something awful. What in the gods below? What's wrong? Ramaz asks while backing away nervously towards the door, and I find myself following suit. Something isn't right, I mutter to him, but I can't take my eyes away from Ka'al and Cyrrin. Ka'al stares up at the towering hero, not moving an inch. He seems determined, but I want to scream for him to back away. The vacancy has brewed into something horrific. I feel no soul there, just the swelling roar of 1,000 lives screaming at Cyrrin at once, malforming and converging together into primal instinct. Cyrrin's eye, visible through his cracked visage, begins to blow and swell. Ka'al, get away from it. Ka'al, come here. Please. Please, this isn't right. Get away from it, I shout at him, but he refuses to move. At all. Please. Gods below, don't be so stupid now. Cyrrin's body begins to float further with horrible, bright green cysts. The life weave, it's taking control of him, but 1,000 wills, they cannot. And to whom do I owe the pleasure? A bellowing, deep voice breaks the silence in the room. Cyrrin? How? He shouldn't. Is it simply residual memories within the body? Cyrrin calls out again. And to whom do I owe the pleasure? As he grows taller, malforming further into something unrecognizable. And to whom do I, and to whom, and he begins repeating the same phrase over and over, faster, each time before he can finish, as he turns into a form most foul, monstrous, and recognizable. He bloats, contorts, cysts grow and die within mere seconds on him. It is a pleasure to meet you, Cyrrin. My name is Ka'al. Within the blink of an eye, Cyrrin's star-set blade cuts Ka'al holy shit. Cuts Ka'al's body directly through his torso. A complete horizontal cut all the way through him. A large paint stroke of blood scatters across the wilted flowers below us. No, 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 no. Ka'al! Ka'al! I scream over to him, backing further up in horror. This isn't happening. This has to be a dream. No. No! Ramaz is banging on the door to let us out, shouting and screaming that something has gone wrong. I can't. I stare at Ka'al, and he turns his head toward me. I'm sorry, he mutters, before his upper torso slides off his leg, crashing into the floor. His leg separates from the rest of his body, then crumble into the flowers below. He's gone. Ka'al's gone. He can't survive the depths. No. Open it. Let us out. Please. Ramaz slams on the door louder, screaming for us to be released from the chamber. I feel adrenaline beginning to surge within me. I don't want to die. I need to get out. I don't want to die. I don't. The door opens and I leap through. The guards look toward Ramaz and I with puzzled expressions. Then they look inside the chamber. Their expressions shift, drawing their weapons. I knew from the beginning, necromancy is not to be toyed with. Utter fools! One guard mocks us, stepping into the chamber and drawing his blade to Cyrrin. You make a mockery of Cyrrin's legacy, depth sent. Now I shall return you to your slumber. His preamble is cut short by another slash, his upper torso meeting Ka'al within the bed of wilted flowers below. The rest of the guards rush into the room, and I look at Ramaz, feeling my heart pound more. We need to go. Now. We need help. We need to run. I stammer through my words, looking at him helplessly. Please, gods below, just say something. Now, he shouts, and we begin to run, faster than we've ever ran before. Loud stomps echo throughout the entire great hive as once constant bird chirps come to a silence. The rustling of leaves falls still, the chattering of Hesperian and Ganymede end. Fear and panic overtake the serenity of what Hive can call home. As we sprint through the guarded halls, the force of Hive defense coming to defend the great Hive for what we've done. One after another, we hear scream after scream of each guard heading in to engage with Cyrrin, as another loud stomp echoes through the tree as he gets further into the great Hive. My heart is pounding harder. I can barely feel my legs as we reach the plaza. The people of the great Hive are scattering. Words travel fast, but screams travel faster. I begin to catch my breath from the sprint beneath Cyrrin's monument towering over the center of the plaza. Ramaz drops to the floor, panting as he collects himself. What do we do? Gods, what can we even do? He shouts, panicking as the stomps continue to echo through the whole tree. I want to respond. I want to cry out the one right answer. But even now, I find myself feeling the same way. I look over to the direction the stomps are coming from, and it's close. I look around the plaza for something, anything, that could lead us to a weapon of some sort. Gods, anything. Another stomp. I can barely hear myself think over the sound of my heart, and then I realized. Standing across from me, across the plaza, lies the lifeless chamber. The cold, lifeless prison which no life weave can survive. Ramaz, do you think we could get in there? I mutter nervously, raising my shaky hand to point toward the direction of its cold confines. He looks over to the chambers, and then towards the sound of the ever nearer stomps. I think we can, but we have to lure it in there. There has to be something around here. Some gods. It's only chasing people. I don't know. We could life weave. No, it doesn't work in there. Gods below, damn it all. He begins to panic once more, tapping his mask nervously beneath Cyrrin's monument until he suddenly stops in his tracks. A moment of silence passes, only broken by an ever closer loud stomp. It's near Akuza. He calls out to me somberly, and I begin to worry. That shake in his voice isn't normal. Yes? Did you think of something? We can try anything, please. I look toward him for some form of reassurance, some light at the end of the tunnel. I can lure in there, Akuza. Huh? No. I can't let you. I can barely form any words. He pauses never. I can't lose another friend today. Please, Akuza. It's either me or the Hive can here suffer even more greatly. He looks down at the floor, out of hopelessness. I've never seen him like this. No, Ramaz, listen to me. I can go, please. I shout at him desperately. I feel tears swelling in my eyes as the ground beneath us shakes. He doesn't look up at me. He simply shakes his head. His mind is set, and I'm helpless yet. Again, it's the least I can do. For Kaal. For the Hivekin. For the Hivekin I've already lost. For you. I have too much to atone for. His voice grows more shaky, holding back tears of his own. He would never be able to forgive himself. He'd blame himself for all of this. I hold out my hand to him. Ramaz, are you truly certain? I ask him, looking towards his mask. He looks up to me and grabs my head, replying, I'm certain. I pull up off the ground and watch him gather his balance. I wish I could do more for you, Ramaz. I wish it didn't have to be like this. I wish anything other than this. Another stomp across the plaza. I can see its shadow in the frame of the gate. Ramaz looks towards me and nods. I'm going to open the door, and when it draws near, I'll lure it in there. When it's in there with me, I need you to seal the chamber behind me, Akuza. It's never to be opened again. My eyes swell with more tears, although I try my best to remain strong. I cannot help but weep for him. Understood. I stumble over my words between tears, watching him begin to walk away. This all feels so familiar. And again, all I do is watch. The feeling of watching him walk away for the final time is the most sour of them all. Ramaz, thank you for everything. He pauses for a moment, then continues. Cyrrin enters the plaza, somehow more monstrous than before. His mask is split into a sea of fragments scattered across his now dozen limbs, mouths and eyes all varying in sizes. I feel sick to my stomach looking at it, the tragedy we've created. Hey! A loud shout from the center of the plaza. Ramaz. The beast's 1,000 eyes glare toward him as it stomps toward him. The floor beneath us shakes violently with each step, and dust and leaves fall from the branches above. Sun beams through the canopy high toward the plaza center where Ramaz and Cyrrin stand. And then he runs. Ramaz sprints toward the lifeless chamber's massive entrance, then hits the button nearby to begin the opening of the entry. Cyrrin stomps increasingly faster towards Ramaz as the entrance finally resides fully open. Ramaz dashes inside, looking behind him one last time towards me. My legs, my arms, every part of me is screaming to not let him go, to bring him back over here, but it's too late for something like that. I begin to slowly move towards the direction of the chamber, keeping a distance between myself and Cyrrin. As Cyrrin reaches the door, he struggles to fit inside. He continuously slams himself against the frame in rapid succession, until enough of his life exists rot to allow him in. Once he's through the door, I approach. Ramaz stands within the deepest section of the chamber, waiting for Cyrrin to draw nearer. Cyrrin steps slow as he draws nearer to Ramaz. I reach the entrance to the chamber as Cyrrin is halfway through it, and I reach for the button. I can't reach it. My heart starts pounding once again, and I struggle with all my might to just... Damn it all! I back off from the door and take a deep breath. I need to do this, now. I sprint towards the button, leaping off the ground, and reaching it for the very heights I can. I reach it, hitting the button. The great hive shakes as the chamber begins to seal itself. Cyrrin continues to pace towards Ramaz, and I helplessly watch as the chamber door slowly closes. Ramaz! I scream towards him one last time. He looks towards me, shaking in fear, and shouts back with one last of his might. I'm sorry. The chamber door seals shut. And that is it.